And what we need in order to achieve that change is solidarity. So I would suggest that perhaps when you march, you add to what you're saying, this is what solidarity looks like, because that's what happened in the shopping centre. That's what's happened here with our comrades at UCU. This is why we changed the world. This is what solidarity looks like. This is what solidarity looks like. This is what solidarity looks like.
Cambridge University, as Anne has said, is complicit in climate injustice and complicit in climate breakdown. Students have been campaigning on Cambridge University to divest from fossil fuels for years, and yet we are still at the stage of considering whether that is the correct approach. That is not good enough. Cambridge University have received over £18 million of research funding from fossil fuel companies since 2001. And the amount is increasing. 12.8 million of that 18 million was received in the last 4 years. Just the other month, it was unveiled that Shell had donated £6 million to Cambridge University for direct extractive research. Research that will directly contribute to the activities of fossil fuel companies in extracting more fossil fuel reserves. And it's really great to see that staff have been so supportive and UCU have been so supportive of our efforts to call on Cambridge University to cut all ties with the fossil fuel industry. So what we are doing is we are circulating this grace, which is a motion which is going to go to Regent House, the governing body of the university. The motion calls on University Council to establish a just transition programme to find alternative sources of scholarships and research funding for students and staff, so that we can have a just transition for researchers, no one is left behind, but that all direct extractive research is cut. It calls on the university to stop accepting donations and research grants from fossil fuel companies, stop accepting sponsorships, stop advertising for fossil fuel companies, stop inviting fossil fuel companies to careers fairs, and stop inviting fossil fuel executives to speak at university events.
As people will be aware, there's an election on. So one of the things that we did was we wrote to all the candidates from the main parties who are standing in Cambridge and asked them if they'd like to send a message of support for our strike and to visit our picket lines. Only 2 of them actually bothered to reply, although I think we got an out of office from the Liberal Democrats. However, I'm very pleased to introduce, we have firstly Jeremy Caddick from the Green Party who's going to speak, and we then have Daniel Zeichner from the Labour Party.
The issues that bring us here today are all connected. The school strike for the climate is about our future and about education. The message that is on so many of the banners that the school children carry is basically to their elders, why won't you learn? The message from the UCU strike is we need to value education in our universities and the people who deliver it. And currently the system is not doing that. Actually, academics are being squeezed by increasing casualisation, reductions in the amounts they're paid, reductions in their pensions, and so forth. I've come to politics only very recently. My introduction to it was 4 interesting but very frustrating years on the University Council here. And one of the things I found particularly frustrating was the resolute refusal to discuss the pay gap between the top and the bottom in the university. So regularly, we would have to approve additional payments to people who were already paid a lot of money. And every time I asked the question, why is this the case? Why do we have to pay more money in the university to the people who look after our investments, for example, than to our star researchers? The answer was always an embarrassed silence, or occasionally titters from the heads of some colleges. Then, slightly later on, I was involved in the divestment campaign because it just seems completely obscene that the University of Cambridge is benefiting from the activities that are destroying our planet, while at the same time protesting that they are on the side of a transition to a low carbon economy. We really need to change that. We need to confront the Vice-Chancellor with his hypocrisy.
I'm proud to be here on behalf of the Labour Party, promising you the prospect of real change very soon. Let me just say to those great people who've been on the picket lines, I was a union organiser, I've stood on picket lines, I know how hard it is to sustain a dispute through days and days and days. You're doing a fantastic job. I pay tribute to you. And my message to the universities is quite simple. I'm part of the universities group in Parliament, and if I get back, this is what I'll be saying to them: get round the table and get it sorted out.
On September the 20th, at the last global climate strike, Anglia Ruskin publicly declared a climate emergency. The university is now taking action to put together a bold set of strategies on how to respond to the declaration, and this is due to be launched in January 2020. In line with this, Anglia Ruskin University has pledged to never invest in fossil fuels. And we are currently looking at how our funds can be invested in sustainable ways. I'd say that in Cambridge, Anglia Ruskin isn't always the leading university, but on this issue, I think it's clear that we are. Alongside this commitment to never investing in fossil fuels, we're looking at how we can source our products from, in particular our food, from local sustainable sources, and to make sure that sustainability is a part of every single one of our students' courses, so they're prepared for the future. I'm not saying this because, we're a wonderful institution. There's a huge amount that we need to be doing to get even remotely close to where we should be given the scale of the challenges. And in my role as Green Rep at UCU, Anglia Ruskin branch, I'm trying to make sure that we do more and go further as fast as we can. But I am saying this as evidence of the huge success that activists and young people are having. You've given up your time on evenings, weekends, you're using up your holidays, and you're missing out on school lessons to stand up for your future. And what I'm seeing at Anglia Ruskin University is that this is working.
Well done, everybody, for striking day after day and still being here. Solidarity? I'll end quickly saying please come to the assembly at 1 shortly, so you can grab something in 15 minutes and join us there to shape the agenda for the climate for UCU. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Rasha. So we have a climate assembly in Great St Mary's Church. Actually starts 1:15. You have slightly longer to get sandwiches. We've got a brilliant lineup of speakers. We'll be discussing how we can actually organise and campaign. Before everyone goes, final thing, we're out on strike again on Monday. And so we have a proper weekend.